Good day, everyone, and once again we are back together. And today we are going to be looking at calculating the balance of a loan. Please just heed the warnings that I'm going to actually give when it comes to this section of work. We're continuing on financial mathematics, and I think this will be our last lesson before we look at past exam questions, perhaps at a later stage. So if you haven't subscribed, please just make sure that you hit that subscribe button. And of course, you're welcome to like and share. Just tell as many people as you can, about the good work that we are doing, right? And for those of you who are still upgrading, our upgrading classes are continuing. And in particular, for those of you who are writing in November, those classes will actually are available. And you can contact us on info@mlungisinkosi.co.za. All right, now without any further ado, let's get into our question. All right, now let's talk about calculating the outstanding balance of a loan. And I'm going to give a warning. Please just make sure that you heed the warning that I'm going to give to you. So to calculate the outstanding balance of a loan, there are two options that I'm going to give you. The first option, all right, just simply says, right, to calculate the balance. So to calculate that balance, I'm just going to show you how to do that. Obviously, you use the present value formula. So that would be 1 minus 1 plus I, in this case, to the power minus n. Right, this is all divided by the interest rate, right? Now, I just want to give a warning on this particular formula. Now, n, first of all, let's talk about n in this case. So n in this formula talks about the number of payments that are still left. And I'm going to explain this in just a little while, right? So this would mean that this is the number of payments that are still left. Payments that are left, okay? Or the number of payments that are still outstanding, the ones that you haven't done. So suppose you took a 20-year loan, okay? Say for argument's sake, I took a 20-year loan and I need to pay off this loan on a monthly basis, right? Now, in this case, if I ask you, if I've been paying for 11 years, okay, already, so now I've been paying for 11 years on a monthly basis, but how much is still outstanding? So if I've been paying for 11 years, these are the amount of payments that I've already made. Now, I want you to think about it. In this case, what does that mean? It means that for 11 years, you are paying on a monthly basis. So I would say this is 11 multiplied by 12. So it means that you've made 132 payments, okay? So remember, we're assuming that you started paying a month after, right? So you've made 132 payments, and all I've just done to get that number was just 11 multiplied by 12. That's 11 years. We've got 12 months in a year. But the question is, in total, 20 years, okay, if you're paying for 20 years, that should take you 240 months. So it means that the number of months that you'd be paying that off, oh goodness, right, so the number of months that you should be paying off that loan is 240 months. So what would n be if you are going to use this formula? So n would be the number of payments that you still have outstanding. Now remember, the total amount of payments you're supposed to make is 240. And in this case, how many payments have you made? You've made 132, right? So in this case, to get the number of outstanding payments, it means that you still have 108. So you'd use n as 108 in this particular case. All right, so please remember, when you use this option, it means that N would be the number of payments that are still outstanding. Okay, right. Now, very important. Just another very important warning, and I don't know, maybe let me write this in red. Okay, remember, we use X here, and what does X mean? X would be the number of installments. X would be the installments that you are making on a monthly basis. So in this case, it would mean that you are contributing this amount, on a monthly basis to make sure that your loan is paid off. Okay, at the end of the period that you have taken the loan for. If it's 20 years for a home loan, so in this case, these would be the monthly repayments that you are making every month, right? Now, just to give a warning, and I'm writing this down, and please heed this warning. Do not use this formula if, all right, if the number of payments that you are making are not in accordance to the amount that is stipulated by the bank. So let's say you take a loan, whatever amount, 500,000, right? And the bank calculates, monthly repayments for you. And the bank says, in order for you to pay off this loan in 20 years, 500,000, you need to pay, say for argument's sake, an amount of 3,220 every month, right? Now, if I keep on paying this amount of 3,220 every month, then you can use this formula. However, please, I want to give you this warning. If the person decides that no, but instead of 3,220, I will decide to pay, let's say, 4,000 rands. All right? Please note, you may not use option 1. Okay, right. So in that case, you will use now the other method, and which I will actually just outline. So remember, the two things that I said about this formula, the one that we spoke about, we said N, first of all, represents the number of payments that are left. Okay, so it means that you are looking at in your time period, you are looking at those payments that you still have not done as yet. So if I look at my timeline and I say, well, here are my payments, but I want the balance here, N would be the number of installments or the number of outstanding payments. So it means N would be those payments over there and not the ones that you've already made. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Secondly, you do not use this formula if you are not paying the stipulated amount or the amount that has been dictated to you by the bank in order to repay the loan. Now, what are we going to do? Now, this is a fail-safe method, right? The second option, in order to make to pay off a loan, or rather to calculate the balance on a loan, what you simply do. Now, there are two things that are happening on a loan. So if you take a loan amount, say for argument's sake, you take 500,000. So here we are granting you that loan here. Now, two things are happening. Two things. The first one is that this loan amount, remember, is accumulating interest. All right. So in this case, this loan amount is accumulated compound interest, right? So in this case, it means that A is equals to P. So you can look at that as your P value, your principal amount. So it's accumulating interest for that period of time. But now, say the bank says to you, okay, you need to pay this off in 20 years on a monthly basis by contributing an amount of 3,000 rands. I'm just making an example with that. Right, now in this case, what's going to happen? It means you can look at that as your regular amounts that you are paying But remember, the more that you are paying these amounts, they are accumulating. So in this case, you can look at your future value formula. All right. So future value, that's x into, that's 1 plus I to the power n minus 1 divided by I. So there are two things that are happening. The loan is accumulating interest, right? But your repayments are actually accumulating. You can look at your annuities. You can take that payment of 3,000 rands on a monthly basis as your annuities. But what it's doing is it's accumulating a future value. And what you want is that this future value and this accumulated amount by the loan should actually cancel each other out, so that at the end of the day, you repay the loan. So in this case, to calculate the outstanding balance, all right? So to calculate the outstanding balance, or the balance of a loan, I don't know why I wrote outstanding. So to calculate the balance in that case, what will you do? You take this amount over here, right? You subtract it from that amount. Of course, at the end of the term, that should give you 0, right? So it will be P into 1 plus I to the power n minus, in this case, x into 1 plus I to the power n minus 1. Okay, this is divided by I. Now, may I please just warn you again, right? If you're going to use this method, right, what it simply means is that, now remember on the previous one, we said n would be the number of payments that are left. Now n here would be the number of payments that you've already made. So these would be payments already made. So in our previous example, we said, okay, suppose you at year 11, right? And you want to know what would be the balance in that case. You've already made 132 payments, okay? Right. In the previous example, we said, look, when you calculate, n would be the number of payments, that are still left. But when you use this method here, it would be the number of payments already made. So in that case, you'd simply say 11 multiplied by 12. In that case, it would be 132, which is the number of payments that you've already made. I can tell you this, when you use this method, the good thing about it is that even if the person were to decide to pay more, right, more than what is the stipulated amount, this would be the method that would actually get you the right answer. Please, I warn you again, do not use the other method if the person decided to pay an amount that is not the one stipulated by the bank. And the reason is simple, because if they're paying off an amount, let's say more than what the bank stipulated, they will not finish off the loan at the specified time, but they will finish off the loan probably earlier. Okay, or if they pay less in this case, they might pay the loan off longer than the time that the bank had actually stipulated. Okay, right. So what I want us to do now, I hope that has been helpful. What I want us to do is just to take an example and see how to apply this. All right, now our first example says Stefan takes out a 5-year loan of 900,000 rands that he can repay by monthly payments of 18,248 and 75 cents at an interest rate of 8% per annum. All right, so we've got our interest rate. Now, these are the repayments that the bank has actually calculated for him to repay off the loan in 5 years' time, right? So now Stefan decides to pay monthly amounts of 20,000. Notice, Stefan, being a wise person, says, look, rather for me to finish paying off the loan earlier, what I will do is I will pay more than what the bank has calculated for me, right? They say starting in 1 month's time, all right, and they say calculate the balance outstanding after the 30th payment. Okay, right. Now, ladies and gents, I want you to please note. Again, I will say, in this particular case, you may not use the first option. Okay? Remember, what was the first option? The first option says if you want to calculate the balance of a loan, okay, what you will do is you'll say X. Remember, you are using the present value formula, right? So what you simply do is you simply say X is 1 minus, that's going to be 1 plus I to the power minus n, and this is divided by I. Now, in this case, you may not use this formula. Please, I'm asking you, I'm begging you, do not use this formula here. Why? Because in this case, the repayments that Stefan is making are not the ones that were stipulated by the bank. If that was so, if he was paying this amount, then in that case, you could use the formula. Now, how will we calculate the balance in this particular case? So what we'd simply do is just to say, well, the balance on this loan would simply be the present value, that's 1 plus interest to the power n. And remember, n in this case tells us about the number of payments that have been already made. They are talking about 30 payments in this case. Okay, minus, in this case, we're going to say x into 1 plus I to the power of n minus 1. Okay, that's minus 1. And we're going to divide by the interest rate. Now, let's just substitute what we have so that we can see how much we are actually able to get. Now, remember, the loan amount in this case was 900,000. So this would be 900,000. Okay, this is 1 plus. Now, remember the interest rate, they said it's 8%. Okay. Per annum, but it is compounded monthly. So in this case, this would be 0.08 divided by 12. Okay. Now remember, we said n is the number of payments already made. So in this case, he's made 30 payments. Okay. Minus, now remember, he's not paying the 18,000. He's paying the 20,000 rands. Okay. I'm going to try and squeeze this all in here. Okay, so this is 1 plus 0.08 over 12. But remember, he's made 30 payments. That's minus 1. This is divided by 0.08 over 12. Okay, so this is how we would obtain that outstanding balance. Okay, so okay, let's just try and put this in our calculator very quickly. I know you guys are quick on the fingers, and you'll see if you use the first method, you wouldn't actually get the same answer. And ideally, when you are paying off a loan, whether you use the first method or the second method, right? If you used it the correct way, you should be able to get to the right answer. Okay, to the same answer, that is. Okay. Now I was just talking so that I by time as I calculate. So I get 436,756 and 4 cents. All right, so that would be the amount that is still outstanding after 30 payments. All right, I hope that has been well understood. Now, just something to say again. If we were using this one, now think about it. To pay off a loan in 5 months, in 5 years, that would be 60 payments, isn't it? So that would be 5 times 12, which is 60 payments. So N, if you were using the 18,000 here, would have actually been also 30, because those are the outstanding payments that still needed to be made. But I hope that you were able to understand this, and it's quite clear. That is how we calculate the balance of a loan. All right, now I hope you really understood that section of work. Even the warnings, just make sure that you understand those. And for those of you who will be writing your exams, I want to wish you all of the best, and just make sure that you do the best that you can in trying to, answer the questions. Remember, your biggest enemy there is time. So make sure that you manage your time very wisely. Otherwise, I'll see you guys next time. Sharp, sharp.